It looks cool, but what if I told you that this little coin could be worth not just a few dollars, but hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars? Yes, that's right. Some of these 2000p Virginia quarters are worth unbelievable amounts of money. You could be holding a small piece of American treasure without even knowing it. So before you spend that coin on a drink or a snack, you might want to take a closer look, because the Virginia state quarter has some hidden secrets that could make you rich. The story starts in the year 2000, when the United States Mint released another group of coins in its famous 50-state quarters program. This was one of the most popular coin programs ever made in U.S. history. It began in 1999 and continued until 2008, with each state getting its own special design on the back of the quarter. The Virginia quarter was the 10th coin in the series, and it honored the year 1607 when the first permanent English settlement in America was founded at Jamestown, Virginia. The design shows 3 ships: the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, the very ships that brought the settlers from England to the New World. Under the ships, you can see the words, Jamestown 1607 to 2007, and Virginia. It's a beautiful and historic design that connects to the early days of America. Now, the 2000p Virginia quarter was made in Philadelphia, and over 943 million of them were struck. That sounds like a lot, and it is. But here's the exciting part: even though there are so many, some of them were struck with special mistakes, called mint errors, that make them extremely rare and valuable today. These rare coins can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars depending on what kind of error they have and how well they're preserved. The most famous and valuable type of error for the 2000p Virginia quarter is called the experimental planchet, or transitional metal, coin. During the year 2000, the U.S. Mint was making tests for new metals to be used in future dollar coins. Somehow, a few of those test metal blanks were accidentally fed into the quarter presses. This means that a small number of Virginia quarters were struck on the wrong kind of metal, a special golden-colored alloy instead of the usual copper-nickel. These coins look slightly different. They may appear more gold or have a different shine and weight compared to normal quarters. Very few of these have ever been found, and collectors go wild for them. One example of a 2000p Virginia quarter on an experimental planchet sold for more than $10,000, and experts believe that others could be worth $15,000, $20,000, or even more depending on condition. That's an unbelievable jump from 25 cents to thousands of dollars. Another kind of rare Virginia quarter is the off-center strike error. This happens when the coin blank isn't lined up right inside the machine, so the design ends up being printed off to one side. Some of these coins show only part of the ships or part of the date, and collectors love dramatic off-center strikes, especially if the date is still visible. Depending on how far off the strike is, these coins can bring in anywhere from $100 to $1,500 or more. There are also double die errors, where some parts of the design, like the letters or numbers, look slightly doubled or shadowed because the die that stamped them shifted between strikes. These are very popular among collectors and can sell for $50 to $500 or even higher if the doubling is easy to see. You'll want to look closely at words like Virginia, e pluribus unum, or the date 2000 to see if you spot any doubling. Another interesting type of mint mistake is the clipped planchet error, where a small curved piece of the coin is missing. It looks like someone took a bite out of it, but if the edge is smooth and even, it's actually a real mint error. These can be worth $50 to $300 depending on size and condition. Now, you might be wondering how you can tell if you have one of these rare Virginia quarters. The first thing to look for is the letter P on the front side, just right of George Washington's ponytail. That tells you it was made in Philadelphia, where most of the valuable ones have been found. Next, check the color and weight. If it looks more golden than silver or feels slightly heavier, it might be one of those rare experimental planchet coins. Also, check for any strange designs, missing sections, or doubled letters. Even a small difference could mean big money. If you think you found something special, do not clean the coin. Cleaning can ruin the surface and lower its value dramatically. Instead, hold it by the edges and keep it in a soft holder or plastic sleeve. Then, send it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. They can confirm whether it's a real mint error and tell you how much it's worth. Coins graded in mint state condition, meaning they look almost brand new, can sell for far more than ones that are scratched or worn. The most amazing part of this story is that many of these rare quarters are still out there in circulation today. People use them without even realizing they're worth a fortune. They might be sitting in a cash register, a coin jar, or maybe even in your pocket right now. The US Mint made almost 1 billion of them, and only a tiny fraction have been carefully checked by collectors. That means there's still a chance you could find one of these valuable pieces of history just by paying attention to your change. There have already been some unbelievable finds. Collectors and treasure hunters have reported discovering rare Virginia quarters in coin rolls from the bank or in old jars of change at home. Some of these lucky finds turned into thousands of dollars overnight. Imagine that you're rolling up your spare coins to cash in at the bank, and one coin turns out to be worth as much as a used car. That's the kind of dream that keeps people searching. Even normal Virginia quarters that are in perfect, uncirculated condition can be worth a bit more to collectors. If you find one that's shiny and looks brand new, especially with no scratches or marks, it might bring $20, $50, or even $100 if it's graded as a high mint state coin. But of course, the real jackpots are the rare error versions that can sell for thousands or even tens of thousands. So next time you get change from a store, take a good look before you spend it. That 2000p Virginia quarter in your hand might not just be a coin, it might be a hidden treasure worth more than you ever imagined. Check the color, the alignment, the edges, and the details. You never know what you'll find. And remember, history is hiding in plain sight. Each of these state quarters tells a story about America's past, but a few of them also hold the power to change your future. So don't let those coins slip through your fingers. One little Virginia quarter could be your ticket to thousands of dollars and a story you'll never forget. Now imagine learning that this little coin could be worth not just a few cents, but hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. Sounds crazy, right? But that's the excitement around the 1992 D. Washington quarter. This is one of those coins that might look totally ordinary but has hidden secrets that can make it worth a small fortune if you find the right one. So stay with me till the end, because this story will make you want to check every single quarter you own. The 1992 D. Washington quarter was made in the Denver Mint, and the D under the date tells you that. Millions of these coins were made that year, about 389 million to be exact, which means they are not rare in normal condition. Most of them are still just worth their face value, 25 cents. But as every coin collector knows, what makes some coins valuable isn't how many were made, but how few remain in perfect shape, or how many have strange minting mistakes called errors. And that's where the 1992 D starts to get really interesting. To understand why some of these quarters are valuable, let's look at what they're made of. The coin is made of a copper-nickel mix, with copper inside and a thin layer of nickel on the outside. It shows the familiar image of George Washington on the front, designed by John Flanagan, and an eagle on the back. Nothing fancy there. But when you take a closer look at the condition of the coin, the quality of the strike, and possible mint errors, you realize that some 1992 D quarters are far from ordinary. In most cases, if you have a 1992 D quarter that's been used and has scratches or wear, it's worth just 25 cents. Maybe $1 or $2 if it looks nice. But if you find one that has never been used, what collectors call uncirculated, it starts to get valuable. A shiny, clean coin with no marks could be worth around $10 to $20. And if your coin has been graded by a professional coin grading company like PCGS or NGC and it scores a very high grade, such as MS67, which means it's in near perfect condition, then you're talking real money. One 1992 D quarter graded MS67 sold for over $1,700 at auction. That's right, one little quarter worth more than $1,000. But that's just the start. The real excitement comes from coins with minting errors. An error happens when something goes wrong while the coin is being made at the mint. Sometimes the metal is struck off-center, sometimes the design is doubled, or sometimes parts of the coin are missing or uneven. For example, a 1992 D quarter with an off-center strike, where part of the design is missing or pushed to one side, can be worth around $70 or even more depending on how big the mistake is. Another common error is when grease or dirt gets between the dies that strike the coin, causing parts of the design to be missing. Those can be worth $50 to $100. There are even some examples of missing nickel layers, where you can see the reddish copper underneath, and those can go for $20 to $30 or more. These are small amounts compared to some rare coins, but if you think about it, that's still turning a 25-cent piece into $50 or $100, which is pretty amazing. What makes collectors willing to pay so much is the combination of rarity, condition, and demand. The higher the grade and the rarer the error, the more collectors want it. A perfect 1992 D quarter with no scratches, bright luster, and crisp details is already rare because most coins get damaged once they go into circulation. Add a unique mint error, and you've got something that could sell for thousands. And that's why checking your change can be worth your time. If you're hunting for one of these special quarters, here's what to look for. First, check under the date for the letter D, that means it was made in Denver. Next, look closely at the coin's surface under good light. Does it have strong details and shine, or is it dull and scratched? If it looks nearly perfect, it might be worth having it checked by a grading company. Then, look for anything odd. Is the design off-center, doubled, or missing parts? Any strange detail could mean an error, and that's where the big money could be hiding. Getting your coin professionally graded can make a huge difference. Collectors trust grading services like PCGS or NGC to give coins an official score. If your 1992 D comes back as an MS67 or higher, its value can skyrocket. Even if you're not planning to sell it, just knowing you own a rare and valuable piece of history feels amazing. Now here's the fun part for you and your viewers. You can turn this story into an exciting hunt. Picture this: you grab a handful of quarters from your coin jar, and while most of them are ordinary, one coin shines differently under the light. You flip it over, notice the D mint mark, and realize you might be holding something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It's the kind of thrill that makes coin collecting so addictive. People love treasure hunts, and this coin is the perfect example of modern treasure hiding in plain sight. And even if you don't find a rare one right away, the process of looking teaches you how to spot details, how to appreciate history, and how to handle coins properly. Every scratch, mark, and shine tells a story. These quarters have been around for over 30 years, passed through countless hands, spent in stores, and maybe even traveled across the country. Yet somewhere out there, one perfect 1992 D quarter still waits to be discovered. Some collectors believe there could still be rare varieties of the 1992 D that haven't been documented yet. New errors get discovered all the time as people keep searching and inspecting coins closely. So even if the known ones have already made headlines, who's to say you won't be the next person to find something unique? That's the excitement, the idea that treasure could still be out there, sitting in a roll of coins from your local bank. The lesson is simple: never overlook your change. Every coin has a story, and some of those stories are worth more than you'd ever expect. The 1992 D Washington quarter may not look flashy, but hidden among millions of ordinary coins are a few extraordinary ones worth hundreds, thousands, and maybe even more. So go check your coin jar, dig through your drawers, and look at every quarter carefully. Because one day, you might flip over a 25-cent coin and realize you're holding a small fortune. You think it's just 25 cents, right? But what if that small coin could actually be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars? That's right, one little 1999 P Georgia quarter could be worth more than a brand new car, or even a down payment on a house. Sounds crazy, but it's true. People all over the country have been finding special Georgia quarters that sell for unbelievable prices, and if you have one, you might be sitting on a real treasure. The Georgia quarter was released in 1999 as part of the United States Mint's famous 50-state quarters program. Every state got its own design, and millions of people began collecting them from their change. The Georgia quarter shows a peach in the middle, because Georgia is called the Peach State, with branches of oak leaves and the state motto, wisdom, justice, moderation. It looks beautiful and normal, but here's the thing: not every Georgia quarter was made the same. Some were made with tiny mistakes or strange materials that turned them from normal change into rare collector items worth a fortune. The P in 1999, P means it was made in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Mint made over 451 million Georgia quarters, so you might think they're all common. But hidden among those millions are a few rare ones with special errors that make them super valuable. Most 1999 P Georgia quarters are worth only 25 cents, but the rare error coins can be worth from hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on what kind of error they have. One of the rarest and most valuable types is called the experimental planchet or transitional metal error. Around that time, the U.S. Mint was testing new metals for the upcoming Sacagawea dollar coin. Somehow, a few of those new dollar metal blanks, which had a gold color and different mix of metals, got used by mistake to make Georgia quarters. That means a few Georgia quarters were struck on the wrong kind of metal. They look a bit more golden than a normal quarter and feel a bit heavier. These coins are so rare that only a handful are known to exist. When one was sold at auction, it brought in more than $7,000. Experts say if another in perfect shape is found, it could go for $10,000 or even $15,000. Imagine turning a 25-cent coin into $10,000. That's the kind of story that makes people search their change every day. Another type of valuable Georgia quarter is called an off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't placed correctly in the press, so the design is printed off to one side. The more off-center it is, the cooler it looks and the more collectors want it. If the date and mint mark are still visible, those off-center Georgia quarters can sell from $100 to over $1,500 depending on how dramatic the error looks. Then there's the clipped planchet error. This happens when the round metal blanks used to make the coins overlap while being cut, leaving a bite-shaped chunk missing from the coin's edge. A lot of people think these are damaged coins, but if the missing part has a smooth, curved edge and the opposite side looks a little weak or thin, it's a real mint error. A Georgia quarter like that can be worth anywhere from $50 to $300. There are also double die errors, where the coin design looks slightly doubled because the die that stamps the image moved between strikes. On these Georgia quarters, you might see doubled letters, numbers, or details on the peach and leaves. These are fun to find and can sell for $50 to $500 or more depending on how strong the doubling looks. Even small errors like this can be a nice surprise if you find one in your pocket. So, if you've got a 1999 P Georgia quarter, here's what to do. First, look for the small letter P under "In God We Trust." That shows it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Next, check the color. Does it look a little golden or different from normal? It might be one of those experimental planchet coins. Then, look at the design carefully. Is it perfectly centered, or is part of the picture cut off? Is there a chunk missing from the side? Do any of the words or numbers look doubled? If something looks unusual, you could be holding a rare error coin. And whatever you do, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can scratch it and take away most of its value. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and keep it in a soft holder or plastic bag. If you think it's rare, send it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. They'll check if it's real and give it a grade. Coins in better condition are worth much more. Even a normal Georgia quarter that's uncirculated, meaning it never got used, can be worth $50 to $100 to collectors who want a shiny, perfect example for their collection. Some of these rare Georgia quarters have already made headlines. Auction houses and coin shows have seen them sell for jaw-dropping amounts. One example of a 1999 P Georgia quarter struck on the wrong metal planchet sold for over $7,000, and experts think future sales could go over $10,000 or $20,000 as collectors compete to own one. Every time one is discovered, people rush to check their own coins, hoping to strike gold. And who wouldn't? Turning a coin from your spare change into thousands of dollars is like finding a modern-day treasure. You might think these coins are all gone, but that's not true. Millions of Georgia quarters are still out there, sitting in jars, cash registers, and piggy banks all across the country. Every day people spend them without knowing what they have. You might already have one at home or get one back as change from a store. That's why it's always worth taking a few seconds to look closely before you spend any 1999 quarter. The next one you find could be worth way more than its face value. Just picture this: you're buying a coffee, and you hand the cashier a few quarters. One of them happens to be a rare 1999 P. Georgia experimental planchet coin. That's like handing away $10,000 for a cup of coffee. That's why collectors say, always check your change before you spend it. The rarest treasures sometimes hide in plain sight. So the next time you hear that jingle of coins in your pocket, remember this story. There could be a tiny piece of history and fortune right there in your hand. Take a few minutes to look at those quarters, especially the Georgia ones with a P mint mark from 1999. You never know, your little coin might turn out to be one of the rarest state quarters ever made. If you enjoyed learning about this hidden treasure, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You could help someone else discover a rare coin too. And stay tuned, because in the next video, we'll talk about more state quarters worth thousands of dollars hiding in plain sight. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, your next find could change your life.